more information about Earthwings and what I do here in Utah and my endeavors, my future goals and plans and stuff. So I appreciate you guys letting me come back. This is the second time I've come down here. Last summer, met a lot of you when I was here with kind of getting, just started with Earthwings. I'm about 2 years now into this endeavor. So some of the birds I brought, two of the birds I brought with me today were birds I had last year with me, raised last spring, and then two of the birds I've acquired over the course of last summer and into this year. So appreciate you guys letting us come here, and I've got some new things to share with you, so that's a lot of fun. One of the reasons I wanted to schedule this, and I appreciate Suzanne and Anita and Gina and their kindness in helping get this set up, is to work with some of the birds I train. I also have parrots at home. Of course, they don't require any special licensing from the government, but to work with my raptors, the falcons, the hawks, the owls, and I've also got at home a crow, an African pied crow, even though she's from Africa, and a South American wood rail. It's a type of shorebird. All these birds require special licensing, what's called a COR, Certificate of Registration, from the Division of Wildlife from the state of Utah to train them for educational purposes. So I hold these bird shows as a good opportunity to hopefully kind of see what I'm up to. My future goals is to eventually open a public wildlife center somewhere here in Utah. So a place where we can continue to do these educational things, be a rehab facility. For those of you in wildlife, you know, in Utah, there's some awesome rehabbers here currently doing work. There's a great need for that as well. And a place where we can actually do propagation or captive breeding. And some of these raptors I brought with me, that's how they kind of came to be, from different wildlife centers across the country. Maybe some of you have visited places like that outside of Utah. A place like that is my goal to do here in Utah. So I want to touch base because no doubt down the road, to do something like that will require further permitting and licensing, but we'd also like to have a deeper partnership, if possible, with the DWR and DNR and the state of Utah as a whole. So as we get moving on those future plans and goals, where we can have a good relationship with you guys, and hopefully we can help work on those goals together. So this first bird I brought, he was a bird I raised last year. A lot of you, when I first acquired the birds, we came in to do some different permitting and licensing, and I brought some of the birds in when they were little tiny babies. So some of you might have met Zoom here, Zoom the Falcon, when he was just a little fluff ball. And we have a Facebook page too. If you go there, you'll see photos and videos of him growing up when he was a little baby. And he was raised actually around the same time as the great big owl that I brought with me too. So he's a really cool falcon. He's very closely related to the peregrine falcon we have here in North America, similar size. But he's a saker falcon found in Africa in the wild. He was bred in captivity, a falconer up in the Northwest. Falcons are typically bred in captivity for falconry. It's a way that we can acquire, the best stock of birds at the best age, optimum prime conditions for training, for hunting with them. Not only is that captive breeding important for those purposes in falconry, which is more of a recreational thing, but it was the captive population of peregrine falcons in the 1960s and 70s, mostly in the possession of falconers across the country, that helped lead to the recovery of the wild peregrine falcons here in North America. So it was actually falconers and an established, very new organization that started in Boise, Idaho, called, now it's quite internationally known, the Peregrine Fund. And they started by creating genealogical banks or libraries of all the genetic history of all the peregrines in captivity. And then they were able to match the parent birds for the best genetic matches. And it was those offsprings that were released into the wild to help recover wild peregrine falcons. So captive populations of these birds help, not only does it help educators like me, falconers acquire our birds, but helps the conservation of the species in the wild if their future populations were to crash or other issues like that. Other cool things I've done with some of my captive birds, and one of the reasons I love to come in here is because like last year's program, learns a lot of cool kind of new ways, new opportunities, exposure for the birds. One of the fun events as a result of coming here last year we did was a summer camp down in southern Utah with high school youth interested in careers in natural resources. So we got a chance to go down there. But my birds also, I go to a lot of the schools and colleges around here, and we've been able to do some really cool educational sort of programs and things that are sort of outside maybe the traditional realm of just talking about the birds. And so one of those things that my captive birds has recently done at Westminster College, they're studying isotopes and carbon found in bird feathers and linking those to pollutants and their environments out in the wild. So they've been able to take some of the feathers off my birds, and they've run those through their same laboratory test to kind of use these captive birds maybe as a benchmark or at least just another study sample to compare to some of these wild birds that they're studying and how they're picking up toxins and mercury and things in the Great Salt Lake. So Zoom here, trained him primarily for my educational programs. But a lot of this equipment that I use on these birds was actually, it's used in falconry, designed thousands of years ago by falconers. And that's the hunting alongside the birds of prey, like even though we call falconry not just falcons, but hawks, eagles, owls. When humans hunt alongside them, we refer to that falconry. Now, this leather glove here, it protects my skin from his talons there, those powerful feet. The birds are all really gentle, but just the weight of them sitting on my skin would scratch me pretty good. So you'll see I wear this glove throughout handling the birds. I have a part-time job as a hand model. You see my perfect, beautiful complexion. So I'd hate for that to get compromised. So I wear that to protect my skin. Next, you notice a leash gets attached to two little leather straps called jesses. They go around little leather bracelets around his leg. And that's kind of like a collar and a leash that you put on your dog. If you brought him to the DWR building, you wouldn't want him running off and getting into all the crazy offices, all the snack piles. So you put a collar and a leash on. You can't put a collar around a bird's neck. They're not designed like a dog. Again, thousands of years ago, falconers figured out putting those restraints around the bird's legs. It's a safe way to keep the bird on my glove. If he tries to tug away, if he can't push them right, pull them right back here onto my glove. He weighs a little over a pound. And next you notice on his leg that golden ring. I don't know if that was there last year when we were here. He got married last year, so tell him congratulations. No, I'm just kidding. He's not married. He lives with me in captivity. It's my job to give him a better life, so I wouldn't do that. Married. It's not a wedding ring. It's an identification band, a way that we can tell this individual falcon from others. On that ring is stamped for a number that's unique to this bird. He also has a microchip inside of him, just like a dog or a cat. So different ways that we can identify him out there. Now finally, this hood here on his head, it keeps him nice and calm when he's traveling around or when he's up here on my glove. I'm going to take it off here in a second. Now, some of you are eating your lunch. Are you okay with Zoom eating his lunch here with us? Is that okay. Are you sure? Okay, all right. So, working with these animals in captivity, I have to feed them the same food items they'd be eating out in the wild. So in the case of these large falcons, it's other birds. It's pretty incredible. Smaller falcons, like our American kestrel falcon, will eat insects, small ground mammals, but these large falcons pretty much feed exclusively on other birds. So I'm going to remove this hood. Again, designed by falconers thousands of years ago. It keeps them in the dark. It keeps them calm. And no parents, we haven't designed it to fit kids yet. We're still working that design out. And it fits each bird just right, just particular. Even though he lives in captivity, like I said, same with his food. I have to feed him those same things he'd eat in the wild. He's still a wild animal, living in captivity. So, and many of you in the wildlife profession already know this, but when we go out to schools and other events in the community, really we encourage people when they come across baby birds or other wildlife to let it be. The very best thing is to just let that be, let nature run its course. In fact, baby birds, we're kind of late in the season now, but throughout the summer, it's an important stage for baby birds. They leave the nest, a lot of them end up on the ground, and it's an important time where the baby birds have to learn how to survive. So the best things for humans to do, not get involved in those situations. But if it appears to be injured or in a really dangerous spot, the best thing to do would be to put it in a crate or a box in a dark closet. That would help minimize that stress. So putting him in the dark, it calms him down, and that's exactly what his little hood here does. So I'm going to pull that off, and we'll let him get started on his lunch. You might want to check everybody out here for a moment first. Those beautiful big eyes. It's been fun, too, watching Zoom over the course of this spring and summer. You're going to really take your time on that, aren't you? Because he's going through some changes. A lot of birds, like the two owls that I brought with me, they look exactly the same throughout their whole life. The barn owl, he's 6 months old. He just grew in his first set of feathers, and he'll have that same coloration his whole entire life. But these falcons here, they change from their first year to their second year, and then they'll have that adult coloration plumage the rest of their life. So the colors of his feathers have actually changed over the course of the summer. He molted his old ones off and grew new ones in. But also the skin around his feet here and around his beak and eyes is going to go from this grayish blue to bright yellow, just like our peregrine falcons when they're adults. So right now you can see, especially around his feet, slightly turn yellow. So it'll be cool. Next summer when we bring him back, you'll see him in his full adult plumage and glory. And he's showing you how he would catch that bird in the wild using those powerful feet. And he's grabbing onto it, holding onto it with his talons. Extremely powerful toes and talons there. And that's what most birds of prey use to catch and dispatch their prey. The falcon, he also has a pretty powerful beak, different than the hawk and the owls that I brought. They actually don't have that powerful. Larger beaks, but not as powerful. But this falcon, if he didn't dispatch his prey with his feet when he first impacted and grabbed it, he'd use his beak there to sever its neck and finish it off. So they catch even game as large as ducks in the wild. So duck vertebrae, you can imagine, not the same. So if he wanted to, he's got some serious power there. And he's a cool bird. It's been really fun, like I say, raising him. Now, to stimulate him, to exercise him, and let him get out and fly and do his thing, I don't hunt with him. I swing a leather lure, and it kind of simulates a bird in the air, and he'll fly back and forth chasing that. We kind of play a game of keep away for a few minutes, and then I let him eventually catch it and get his reward. And it's a good way to keep him exercised and stimulated, and I think it helps with their kind of emotional state, their psychological state as well, to get out there. They like to, just like all of us, like to get out there and be active. So I'm going to put him away and bring out one of the next birds that I acquired. Well, actually,